going to go ahead and start recording this session. And now that we're actually starting the session, let me share my screen. And got some great information to convey to you all. So this is our Conversations Over Coffee, and we're focused on the Ascend initiative this morning. Pillars is an organization that, in partnership with you all, provides shelter, support, and solutions to address housing needs in our community. We innovate, we collaborate, and we execute with grit on our mission in order to ensure that episodes of homelessness are rare and brief, and that everyone has a place to call home. We offer a full continuum of services to provide shelter, support, and solutions. This is a great image that Mackenzie, who you met just a minute ago, put together for our annual report. If you haven't received an annual report and you would like to study this more closely, please let us know. You'll have an opportunity to do that at the end of the event today. Can indicate your interest in receiving one of those in the mail or via email if you'd like. So this is the full sweep, the full scope of what we do, and it is pretty amazing. I do want to give you an opportunity, as I said I would, to see who's in the room today. So I am going to launch a poll, and it's a pretty easy one. Just click the option that best represents what brings you here today. I'll give you all just a second to respond. %78 votes in, 84%. I think we're doing better than the election this week. That looks good. I think we've settled out. So I'm going to end the poll and go ahead and share the results with you. So we have a strong core of staff members. You met some of those earlier. The community engagement team is all here working behind the scenes. But otherwise, a good blend of donors, funders, volunteers, community partners, and collaborators. Thank you for all of you who are here. And that's who we have present. So with that, hang on one second. Never a dull moment when you're driving the Zoom bus. You are not here to hear from me. You are here to hear about Ascend. So I am going to let our Ascend folks tell you more. We have Rachel Youngquist, the Stable Housing Director, here to introduce our featured speaker. She will be presenting until about 8:10 a.m. At that time, we're going to open it up. So we'll put the presentation aside. We'll let all of your faces be visible and give you the chance to ask whatever questions you might have about the Ascend program for during an extended Q&A period. Feel free to chat your questions in throughout, though. Use that chat function that I described earlier. And if they need to be fielded in the moment, we will facilitate that. And otherwise, we will gather those up for the Q&A at the end. With that, I am going to pass the mic over to Rachel. Remember to unmute yourself, Rachel, before you introduce our featured speaker.
Thank you, Lisa. I am very proud and excited to introduce Alona. Alona Boots came to Pillars last June. Prior to working with Ascend, Alona was working in child welfare in Iowa. In the 9 months with us, Alona has created a collaboration with the Fox Valley Technical College OT program, strengthened our community partners, and has brought a fresh perspective to Ascend to build on the strong foundation that had already been set. I am very grateful for all of you to be here this morning and taking the time to learn about Ascend. Now, Alona, I hand it over to you.
There we go. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. As Rachel and Lisa mentioned, my name is Alona. I'm the case manager for the Ascend program. So without further ado, we will get started. Let me see if I can find my remote here. There we are. There we go. Okay, so I would love to start off with our staff. So these are the amazing staff members of our stable housing team, which Ascend falls under. So up in the lower left is my supervisor, Rachel, who just introduced me. We are also comprised of our awesome maintenance staff, David and Bud. And we also have Kelly Wheeler, a licensed professional counselor, on site as a contractor for Ascend. She provides on-site professional counseling services for the young adults of our program. So what is Ascend? Some of you might already have a good idea of what Ascend is, but some of you might still be in the learning phases. So our goal is to provide supportive services and independent living skills for young adults living with mental health challenges. But how do we do that? We do that through formal and informal supports, both on-site and off-site. We do that with case management, connection to program housing, connection to resources, and through independent living skill education. A moment here. There we go. Our target population is for folks ages 18 through 25. Some of our eligibility pieces is that we're looking for folks who identify with living with mental health challenges. They must be unmarried, have no legal dependents, nor have a legal guardian. In addition, we ask that they try to make that investment in themselves and work at least 20 hours per week with the goal of attaining full-time employment. I would love to tell you guys a little bit about how a person can become a participant. We accept referral sources from either self or for formal. And really all that means is just submitting an application. So if a young adult themselves does a whole bunch of research and finds our program, they're more than welcome to apply by themselves without having a formal referral source. However, we also welcome applications from formal referral points as well, such as county social workers. A parent could be considered a referral source. Anyone who sees our program, knows about our program, and thinks, hey, this could be a great fit for the young adult that I know in my life. Once the application is submitted, we go through a 3-step process for an interview, and that starts with a phone interview to establish eligibility and also have a really informal conversation about what Ascend is, what we do, and how we can best serve them. If the person is still interested and it seems like it could be a good fit, we'll move forward with 2 more interviews, preferably in person, but with the crazy world we live in, we of course have the ability to do a video interview. And then after the 3rd and final interview, if both parties are still interested, Ascend would then extend a welcome letter to the individual to join our program. After that, we then move toward orientation. And then we ask them to move in, and we set that move-in date at orientation. Orientation consists of establishing that move-in date, some paperwork, of course. We all have also implemented several assessments throughout the course of folks' time here in the program, but it does start at that orientation, and then an initial session with our licensed professional counselor. A really popular question that we get here is, where do the participants live? Is it kind of like residential housing? Does everybody have their own room? What does that look like? So we are able to house up to 3 young adults in a single 2-bed, 1.5 bath apartment within a quadplex. So there are 2 quadplexes in a row, and 5 of those 8 units are reserved for program units. But at a little bit of a bigger picture, we have quite a few properties here at Ascend to make a total of 16 units. So 5 of those 16 units are reserved as program units, and we have a current capacity of 15 young adults. 11 of those 16 are rented out at market rate to contribute to helping Ascend be self-sustaining. We do encourage a housemate roommate living situation. We find a lot of value in building those relationships, learning those communication skills, as well as those independent living skills. And as I mentioned, we can have up to 3 participants in each unit. They are fully furnished. Everything you could think of, couches, end tables, coffee tables, fully stocked kitchen with pots and pans, utensils, cups, plates. We also provide mattress, box spring, bed frame, side table. Really, a person could come into the program with the clothes off their back and be just fine. We are also very, very fortunate to be partnered with the Nina Menasha Emergency Society. They so graciously provide a welcome basket for each and every one of our participants that come into the program. And they provide bedding for our young adults, hygiene products, toilet paper to get them started, laundry detergent. It's a wonderful welcome basket. So we are very, very fortunate to be partnered with the NMES. We also cover all utilities. Heat, electric, we provide that in-unit laundry in the basement, garbage services, etc. However, the 2 most popular things that I hear is, do you provide Wi-Fi and air conditioning? With everything that we provide, unfortunately, we do not provide air conditioning or Wi-Fi, but the young adults are more than welcome to come over to the Cummings building over at the office and utilize our Wi-Fi and air conditioner here. So without further ado, we have a little video to visualize for you folks where our young adults live and perhaps what that might look like. Lisa, I sent you the remote back.
Alana, how is the video quality for you?
It is not good.
Okay, I am gonna stop sharing so that we can share that video in another way.
Thank you.
Hang on, folks. Almost there. I think it's going to be better. Fingers crossed.
Welcome to Ascend. I'd love to show you a typical unit. Come on. So here we have the living room. We do provide all of the furnishings in these apartments, including couches, coffee tables, end tables, lamps. Here we have the kitchen. As you see, we have the dining table, full kitchen, refrigerator, all appliances. We also provide all of the pots and pans, plates, cups, utensils, anything that they might need. Here we have a half bathroom on the first level. We provide in-unit laundry for all of our young adults in the program. Each unit has a complete set of a washer and dryer in the basement. Up the stairs here we have our living quarters, which includes a single bedroom where one individual will reside. It's a full bathroom that is shared amongst all of the young adults in the unit. And then a double bedroom, which can house up to 2 individuals in that room. So we also have access to the back patio here. This is where folks can set up chairs and hang out with their roommates.
Thank goodness for that team working behind the scenes I told you about, because they're the ones who made that better for you. So Alana, I'm going to pass the remote back to you unless you already have it.
I think we might need the screen to be shared first.
Got it. And I'll get us to the right place too.
Awesome, thank you. So that was just a little glimpse of what our housing looks like for our young adults, and thank you so much to Lisa's team for putting that awesome video together. I would like to dive a little bit more into the investment that we ask of our young adults. We do ask that they pay monthly program fees. There is no fee to apply to our program, but once a person is fully accepted into our program, we do ask for a $100 entry fee. From there, we also have that $225 monthly program fee. And then overall, we do have a $500 security deposit, but we do not ask for that upfront. Most folks elect to pay that in a minimum payment plan of $25 per month. So after that $100 entry fee, most folks are paying about $250 per month, which we've found to be a very affordable price for folks. And we're very, very proud to be able to allow that so that folks can take this time to get on their feet. A second investment that we ask that they make is to find employment within 30 days of our program entry. We are able to help them with job searching. We have great connections in the community for job programs if they're interested. And we do ask that they work that minimum of 20 hours per week with the intention of working full-time at program completion. However, for some folks, 20 hours might not be realistic, especially if they are in school, in treatment, what have you. So while we do say it's standard of 20 hours per week, we don't want that to be a barrier for folks who have other commitments. That's always a conversation that can be had. Another investment that we ask is that they commit to program guidelines, such as being dedicated to building life skills, participating in events, and then also maintaining the cleanliness of our program housing. We do some inspections semi-frequently, and we use this as a tool to see where folks might need a little bit of extra guidance. Some folks have come from environments where they've been doing everything on their own since they've been 10, 11 years old. Other folks in our program may not know how to use a laundry machine. So these inspections are really great tools for us to gauge where our young adults are at, and we can really individualize their goal planning specifically with life skills in this situation. Another one that I have listed here is participating in required program activities. During occupational therapy rotations through Fox Valley Tech, we do require folks to participate in weekly and or individual occupational therapy sessions. So sometimes folks coming into our program can be like, oh my goodness, you're asking so much. It can be wordy. I think this slide does a great job of kind of listing it out in the best way possible, but we also have this little equation here on the left side. So in a person's week, outside of their social activities, work, school, whatever they have going on, we're really only asking for 3 hours of their time each week. We ask that they dedicate 1 hour to case management with me weekly. We ask that they dedicate 1 hour to their mental health, whether that be through individual counseling on-site, off-site, participating in treatment, participating in groups, whatever that might look like for them. And we also ask that they dedicate 1 hour to occupational therapy each week. So in totality, outside of their daily lives, we're really just asking for that 3 hours per week. And we found a lot of folks to be successful with that. There we go. Oops. My controls aren't popping up here, so I'm blindly clicking, hoping to find that button, but it's not working. So one moment, please. There we go. So here are some of the professional supports that can be found on site. The first listed is myself. I'm the case manager. I meet at least weekly with each of our young adults to provide case management. So I can help with that life skills education. We do a lot of finding resources, meeting their immediate needs, goal planning, how do we reduce barriers for them to meet their goals and such. Most of the folks that we have in our program, I see much more often than weekly, which is awesome. It's a really great way to foster those professional relationships, build rapport, and ultimately just be a lasting support. When folks leave our program, we always invite them to return, to stop by for dinner, for meals, just to say hi. And even if they just need maybe some extra support and resources, we always encourage them to return for that. We also have provided a certified peer support specialist. A peer support specialist is a professional who utilizes their personal lived experience to provide support to others, specifically the young adults in our program, and demonstrate that recovery is possible. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a licensed professional counselor on site. That is Kelly Wheeler. And then our occupational therapy services are provided through Fox Valley Technical College. During a rotation, folks are offered individual and group sessions weekly. Participants can use these services to address any type of goals that they might be hoping to reach. It could be independent living skills specific to the household, such as household management, cooking, cleaning, but even more specifically, it could be toward their mental health, social and emotional development, and so much more. Our young adults have really enjoyed being able to utilize these services. At first, they're kind of like, what is occupational therapy? They hear that word therapy and they think that we're going to be asking them to sit in front of somebody, talk about their feelings, but this has been extremely well received because of the nature of the service. So we're very fortunate to have that partnership. Some of the additional supports that we offer is, of course, that life skills education. We also have an on-site food pantry that is supplied by St. Joe's Pantry of Menasha. We also have an on-site personal hygiene pantry with everything from laundry detergent to toilet paper to toothpaste, anything a person might need. We can offer assistance with obtaining a driver's license. We offer assistance with job searching, housing searching, and we also provide family meals 2 to 3 times weekly. The family meals are not required, but it is a great opportunity for folks to have social interaction with the other young adults in our program and also just have a warm home-cooked meal. I think Monday we had scalloped potatoes and ham. Used up some of that ham from Easter, so it was a great hit and super great. And we had a great crowd too. Of course, we also have that formal support system on site. So our counselor, peer support specialist, and myself. So how did we get here? What's new? Has Ascend always been this way? Have we always had this specific structure? No. So I'd love to show you a little bit about how we've gotten here. As Rachel mentioned in her introduction, I was very fortunate to come into this program with such an incredible base set. But we started it back in 2015 when Lynn Cummings Keller approached the Housing Partnership, which is now Pillars, and NAMI with a vision. In 2016, the planning for a young adult mental health housing program began, and we were super excited to be able to open our doors in June of 2017. I joined in June of 2020, and then we formed the Ascend Advisory Committee in November of 2020. So I'd love to show you a little bit about the folks who are in our advisory committee. The advisory committee was formed to help guide Ascend toward growth, increase visibility in the community, and to discuss how to better reach and support the young adults in our community. So I'll take just a moment to let you guys view the names here on your screen. We're very fortunate to have reached folks all across our community in various agencies and various backgrounds. And so far, our advisory committee has been an incredible success. So I'll just give you one moment to look over those names. Awesome. So some of the things that have happened since implementing that advisory committee, in addition to the continued support from Pillars, and our community partners, we are proud to be able to share some of the changes that Ascend has seen since summer of 2020. So we've kind of revamped our structure a little bit. We've definitely increased our individualized approach. As I mentioned, we have implemented assessments. We have also been able to use more tools to kind of better gauge where folks are at and meet them there and then help them to get where they want to be. We've improved our intake process with that 3-step application process. Again, assessments implemented at orientation and throughout all stages of the program. We have created a standardized data collection to be able to present specific data to our community partners who are interested, as well as just Pillars as a whole to be able to monitor that. We have established an occupational therapy assistant collaboration with Fox Valley Tech, and we have really increased our community outreach. As I mentioned before, Lisa's team, the community engagement team, has been working tirelessly with us to create many new materials to help spread the word about us. So we have a promotional video, we have some new brochures, and myself, I have been doing some active outreach. So within, I guess, other than this week, I've been averaging about 2 to 3 outreach meetings with various agencies throughout the community, and we've seen an extreme influx in applications because of that. Some of our applications have been from the referral sources that I've reached out to. Others might have just been because they've been seeing the word about us. So I guess it's too soon to say now if it's a direct correlation, but nonetheless, it's a wonderful start. So this next slide here is an example of the brochure that we have. It also has some of my contact information for your reference. So if you have further questions afterwards, after conversations over coffee is done, I encourage you to reach out to me with any questions you may have. I'm going to just leave this here for a moment for you to take notes if you'd like. And then without further ado, I want to thank you all so much for your time and attention this morning, and I'd love to use this time now to discuss any thoughts or questions you might have. Ooh, I see some questions in the chat. Do individuals choose to leave the program when they no longer need the help? That is a great question. So we do have a soft cap of about 2-year expectation for duration in the program, but exactly correct. Some folks don't need 2 years, and some folks will leave when they're ready, which could be 4 months, 6 months, a year. Our average length of stay is about in the 100 to 200 day range. What is average stay? There we go. Most do go to an independent living situation afterwards. Some folks choose to return to family to continue building their feet. They feel like they have a great start, but kind of want to take advantage of time with family. Other folks in our program who perhaps have not been graduates, we do our best to try to find them a more supportive environment, but typically in a graduation situation, they go to an independent living situation.
Hey, Alona, can I jump in for just a second?
Please.
Talk a little bit about graduation, if you would. You and or Rachel. What does that look like? You've had a couple of those.
Sure, yes, we have. When I first started, we had a big wave of successful graduates. A successful graduate has been in our program for about that 2 years. They've demonstrated extreme progress in living skills, education. They have the ability to live on their own. They now have a good living wage job in which they can support themselves and their, expenses. And then toward the end, and Rachel, if you'd like to jump in and add anything, please do. We do provide a graduation ceremony with a plaque, a little bit of a party, because it is a big deal. And we're very, very proud to be able to show them that it is a big deal. So anything that you'd like to add on that, Rachel? No? Okay, awesome. Thank you, Lisa. That was great. Are you able to take 17-year-olds with the new opening? Unfortunately not. Our minimum age is 18. How many individuals can the program serve at one time? We can serve up to 15 at a time. With our 5 units, we can have up to 3 individuals in each unit. So, how many people have successfully graduated so far? I have lots of data, but I don't know if I broke it down that way. Rachel, do you? No?
You broke it down. We have had, it looks like, 7 males and 12 females. So I think average of 66% are graduating.
Awesome. Thank you. How many, oh yeah, okay. Are the units co-ed or men only, women only? So in each apartment, it is men only or women only. We do not have any co-living situations, but we do have an LGBTQ plus friendly unit for folks who identify as transgender or folks who might feel more safe in a unit such as that. What are some of the personal challenges you've seen for participants entering Ascend? These have varied, especially because the folks who come into our program most likely have seen quite a traumatic upbringing with our assessments that we've been doing, specifically with our ACEs. We have been seeing quite high ACEs scores recently. So typically, speaking in general terms, of course, this is not for every individual. We do see folks who perhaps are not ready to have the structure of our program. They've been used to taking care of themselves, fight or flight, really just, trying to find that sense of safety, and perhaps they're not ready for the structure that we have. Another personal challenge that we've seen is for folks who perhaps have come from a much more structured environment. Once they turn 18, they are ready to run free. Again, the structure that we provide here might be too much for them. And they just kind of want to do what they want to do, but we have seen a few people come back when they're ready for us, which is good. Answer only if appropriate.
Before you go on to the next question, could you tell us what you talked about ACEs?
Yes.
And how you've seen high scores. What is ACEs?
ACEs is, oh gosh, I'm going to make me name the acronym. If anybody would like to jump in with the acronym.
Adverse childhood experiences.
Thanit is the series of, I believe, 10 questions. And depending on the higher the score, the more adverse childhood experiences a person has had. So the highest score is 10 and the lowest score is 0 or 1.
And so, if I may, some examples of adverse childhood experiences might be incarceration of a parent, abuse in the household, et cetera, those types of things.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that clarification, Lisa. What are the limits or definitions for a mental challenge that would make a person eligible or ineligible? We do not require a formal diagnosis of any sort. So a person could simply say, I struggle with depression, and that is appropriate and establishes eligibility for that. Are you able to work with pregnant or parenting young adults? Unfortunately not. One of our eligibility pieces is that they do not have any legal dependents. We have had many folks reach out to our program with that, and because we don't allow dependents as visitors, unfortunately it's not the best environment for folks who are working toward reunification.
If I could chime in on that question, this has nothing to do with pillars, but I'm aware that House of Hope in Green Bay does serve pregnant and parenting teens. And I'm also aware that they were recently licensed to serve youth under 18. So just FYI.
Awesome, thank you. Regarding young military veterans with challenges, awesome. Zach, if you have further questions about that specific topic, I'd love for you to be able to reach out so I can do some more research and collaborate with my supervisors to have a more whole answer for you. Do we have a program for adults over the age of 25? Rachel, would you like to speak on some of our other programs within Pillars that might be able to help folks in that age range?
We have our affordable housing for individuals that need help with a safe place to live. If you're looking for a program with support, you would have to go through our coordinated entry. We have 6 or 7 different programs that can help individuals, but you must sadly go through the shelter. It's set up so that you first have to be homeless to get a case manager. Unless, Joe, you think I misspoke there.
No, I think that is the case. You know, the Pillars is largely built on housing and homelessness situations. And when we go back to that service map that Lisa showed us for the full continuum of services, you'll see that a lot of that is homelessness oriented in terms of providing shelter and then the next step out of shelter. So our history and the bulk of our programming is geared there. One of the things I would say that you heard today that makes Ascend unique, and one of the most recent additions to everything we do, is it's really there as much as anything as a preventive step to keep somebody from becoming homelessness, because we know that that 18 to 25 age range is a very vulnerable age range for a lot of reasons that Alona has talked about, in terms of what people are struggling with and what happens when you're 18, both in terms of your perception of how you can take on the world, as well as the world's perception of how it might start pulling back services that you've received when you weren't, quote, an adult. So that was part of the maturity of Pillars when we said, let's put a preventive program in there for individuals who might be vulnerable of homelessness sometime in their future. And if we can do these things, focus on life skills, focus on employment, focus on education, and set you up for a level of independence and a more hopeful future, we may never see you in some of our other programs, our shelter programs or our supportive housing programs, which are a next step out of shelter. So that's a roundabout answer to what do we offer for 25 and up. A lot of what we have is shelter related and the subsequent housing. But as Rachel led with, we also have quite an extensive subsidized housing program, which provides not the case management, but the safe, stable, affordable living conditions, which we also know is a great preventive step for keeping somebody from experiencing homelessness.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe and Rachel. Our next question is about young adults who are on probation or about someone who has to register as a sex offender. Personally, in my time here, I have not had a situation with an applicant with that background. Joe or Rachel, would you like to talk on that point at all?
In my time, we haven't had that.
I think, and as you well know, Nicole, there is a broad range of what it means to register as a sex offender. So I would say that we are open to that discussion. And what we want to do is make sure that we are following all of the requirements of what that probation or those orders might look like, as well as maintain safety of the environment of those around. But knowing that that is such a broad range, and this is an issue for all of our programs, we would, that there is not an automatic bar to anybody because of that status.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
The one thing that I would add, and Alona might have covered this, the question that Zach had about what's eligible and ineligible, there is a limit to what we can help. Individuals whose mental health challenges might be a little more extreme, we would say that that's not a good fit for the young adult because we're just not a residential housing 24-hour care that some individuals do need.
Absolutely. What makes our program so unique is the independent nature of our program. So the folks who are successful in our program are folks who are able to be okay over the weekends. I work Monday through Friday. So we do our absolute best to provide resources for the young adults to utilize in the time where perhaps a staff member is not on site. But that is another reason for such an extensive application and interview process to really gauge if the applicant is a good fit for our program and if our program is a good fit for that applicant. And perhaps if our program is not the best fit, I do my best to offer referrals to other programs in our areas that might be a better fit, or at least give them some sort of direction of what perhaps could be good for them to look for. We have seen folks participating in other area programs who have been successful there and then are kind of ready for decreased structure at Ascend, which is a really great stepping point to the next fully independent of leaving our program and being an independent adult. So thank you for touching on that, Rachel. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Alona, you talked a little bit in your presentation about the mental health services that are available. Kelly's licensed counseling services available. How much do those cost?
It is absolutely free. Thank you for bringing that up. All of our on-site services are included with that $225 affordable rate. So that includes the housing, all utilities, and all of our services on site. Many of the referral sources, or excuse me, the referrals that I give to area agencies, such as the Levin Job Connector program, the Goodwill Skills to Build, most of the referrals that I make for additional services also come at low or no cost. Really, I think the only thing I can think of that might cost out of pocket is if a person is looking to get their driver's license, because I believe you have to pay, to get your driver's license. So we are very, very fortunate to be able to provide all of those services included with their $225 program fee.
And do they need an appointment to access those mental health services? When are they available, and do they need an appointment?
Nope, they do not need an appointment. Case management with me, I take as a walk-in basis or scheduling. Our licensed professional counselor is on site from 11 to 4 every single Wednesday. She also takes walk-ins or appointments. I think that is a great benefit and a strength that the young adults see as our program, that perhaps their lives are so busy that they don't have time to schedule ahead. They don't know what their Wednesday next week is going to look like. So there's a good chance that when they come in, someone is available to assist them with whatever they might need at that time.
What else makes Wednesday special at Ascend?
It's Cookie Wednesday. Yay! Every Wednesday I make some homemade cookies. This week was chocolate chip. So we've had requests for raisin oatmeal, and I think next is going to be peanut butter.
Can you describe again the kitchen and why that's special and how unique that is?
Absolutely. Rachel might have to jump in with a specific date and the funder, but we are super, super fortunate to have a huge kitchen in our office, and that is where we provide those family meals every week. Our young adults can come utilize it as well. Anytime it's not in use, they're more than welcome to come cook a meal for their friends if they have visitors over at our office, which I want to point out, we do not allow visitors in the units, so we encourage them to bring them to our office building, and that's been a really great compromise. Rachel, are you able to touch a little bit about how that kitchen came to be?
JJ Keller gave the money so that we could create it. So originally the building ended, and we knocked down the last wall, built this amazing kitchen. The kitchen was made specifically for family meals. As Alona said, we offer those 2 to 3 times a week to increase the ability for them to socialize, on social skills, also just getting to know each other. And then Alana has made more use of it with her Cookie Wednesdays. And right now, Alana is providing all the meals because we are looking for a new staff member, but hopefully soon we will find someone for that.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. Oh, another question popped up. What happens if somebody is on Social Security? We have quite a few folks on Social Security and disability benefits. We do our best to work with the representatives of those offices to find jobs that perhaps they are able to work at. If a person is unable to work in totality, that would probably have to be a conversation with Rachel and Joe. I personally have not run into that situation, but that is a great question. We do still, something else to point out. That program fee, that $225, is private pay. We don't accept insurance. So that is paid with a personal check or cash to the program. Oh, thanks, Matt. Awesome. Those are some great questions. Does anybody else have some more questions that might be on their mind? I guarantee if you're thinking it, somebody else is too. So a child who is becoming an adult who dealt with emotional and mental abuse would receive a lot of great benefits from the program. Correct. We do our best to provide individualized support for each individual to the best of our ability. And if on-site services are not enough, we can make referrals to outside services as well. As Rachel pointed out, we are a very independently, driven program. So folks whose needs are a little bit higher, we would do our best to find them a better setting if Ascend is not the right fit. We provide access to, yes, that's true. That's true. Thank you, Ayanda. So we have an on-site food pantry that is supplied by St. Joe's Pantry of Menasha. We just got a big load of stuff. So everything from milk, eggs, meat, cheeses, all the way to, canned goods, pasta, cereal, anything that they might need.
And Alana goes and picks that up because one of the issues that we have is transportation. Not all young adults have cars, so they can't drive from Neenah to Menasha to get the food. So Alana goes, picks it up, and brings it, which is why the pantry is on site for the young adults.
Correct.
Building on that, there was a question about if folks can't afford the fee. What do we do there? I think one of the mediating factors is we provide access to as many of their hygiene and food needs as possible for low or no cost. But what if they can't afford the fees?
If a person can't afford our program entry fee, which is $100, we can make referrals to area agencies who are willing to help out. Sometimes folks can get a little nervous and be like, oh, that's a really big barrier for me. I don't have a job. We can take care of that barrier by connecting to some area agencies. If a person is unable to make our program fee, we'll most likely assess the situation if they're already in our program. Do they need connection with, the Job Connector program? Do they need a job coach? How can we best help them to start making that income for themselves? Ultimately, if a person is unable to meet that expectation, we would, again, just do our best to help them. Rachel, if you'd like to expand.
And part of that reason is we want these young adults to build a good rental history with us so that when they do go to their next apartment, we can be a landlord reference. And part of that is showing that they are capable of paying their program fee or rent each month on time. One of the expectations is that they're working 20 hours a week, I believe. And so we do believe it is affordable and anyone should be able to pay it.
Awesome, thank you. Deb asked if Ascend needs volunteers to interact with clients game nights. With COVID going on, we've been kind of keeping tight strings on the folks in our building, but I would love to have conversations about bringing folks in for, fun game nights. I love ice cream socials. I will never ask too many questions for an excuse for an ice cream social. So Deb, if you would love to reach out to myself or Tony, we would love to have some of those conversations about perhaps getting a volunteer game night, or even if somebody loves to cook, if they want to come do a cooking lesson, anything like that would be absolutely wonderful.
Any other questions about Ascend for Alana? Otherwise, we do have a few minutes. So if there are no other Ascend specific questions, we've got a good core of our staff here. We've got Joe Mothy, the executive director himself, here in the room. So if you have Pillars questions, I'd welcome those now as well. So let's Ascend first. Any Ascend questions to wrap up with? If not, I want to applaud Alana and Rachel for their great work this morning, their great presentation, and for sharing so much great information. How about Pillars? Anybody have any Pillars questions they want to toss out? We'll see who can bat those down. It's interesting. We've had these conversations a couple of times virtually, and in one case we had about a dozen people in the room and it was very conversational, but when you've got a room as full as this one is, it's a little tougher to feel free to chit chat. So I would like to, Joe, if I can put you on the spot, I am going to put that service continuum up one more time. You alluded to it earlier and how much of our service continuum is focused on homelessness in the moment. So let me pop that back up on screen. And if you wouldn't mind saying just a few words about our continuum of.
Yeah, I appreciate the emphasis on just a few words. That's good coaching because I can go for quite a while. Yeah, let me make a couple closing comments. really about how unique Ascend is, and a big thanks to Rachel and Alana for running this program. And it has been over the last couple of years. That timeline may look like quite a number of years, but we had to figure out exactly what this was, and it is different than our programs, our other programs. At Shelter, I mean, that is the door is open, and if you're in need of our services, you come through the door. And so this one's a little different for us and how it came to be, because this is are you the right fit for this program? Are you ready to engage in more structured programming, as Alana said, to a desired outcome of independence, ideally within a couple of years? So it's different. So this is our full map, and if we would have drawn this map, this is the really beautiful thing about this community, is if we would have drawn this map 5 years ago, Ascend wouldn't have been in there, and it would have looked like a continuous arrow just like everything else. And then this opportunity came up, and it really was this opportunity. And as Alana mentioned, Lynn Cummings Keller came to us and said, I have an idea, I've got a vision. How can we use these properties that I have and I'm willing to donate to Pillars Housing Partnership at the time to do some greater good for the community? And at that point, we kind of pulled this arrow apart a little bit and made room for it, and we put Ascend in there, and we said it's a little bit different. That's part of the reason I'll call it an Ascend initiative. It's something new. It doesn't easily just drop in, but we knew that this was a good thing for us to add for the community, to make sure that we could care for people who were vulnerable and we could set them up for success. And when they did that, we've got this cycle of goodness of we've helped somebody who now helps again. And when we talk about breaking generational cycles of poverty and housing instability, this is our play to do it. When we first talked about it, we said this is our last best chance of setting somebody up for success, because by the time you come through the rest of this this continuum, right there, there's a lot to recover from, and there's a lot of trauma built into that experience. So Ascend fits in, and I think it's a great opportunity of a generous community, creative work between us and between NAMI at the time, and to put a focus on mental health. And the program and our program participants are really thriving as a result. And when that happens, when our program participants thrive, our community thrives, right? This is a better place for everybody. And we're grateful for those who participate in this by sponsoring and making it happen in any way, and also recognizing that when we lift anybody up in our community, we're all lifted up.
Thanks, Joe.
I could answer Harvey's question, which just came in, which is on that topic as well. Do we have an endowment? Yes, we do. We have an endowment with the Community Foundation that's been set up over the years. And related to that, although it's not an endowment for Ascend, the entire gift that we talked about that was initially made includes not only Ascend apartments, but the others. I think Alana mentioned this, 16 units in total. Part of the cleverness of this approach, or the sustainability of the approach, is that we do rent out some of those apartments to the public, which is still mission oriented for us to provide housing, but there is revenue associated with that, which feeds this program. So we are less dependent on ongoing community giving. We still are somewhat, but we've taken that need down considerably because we've got revenue source internal to the program to allow that to be sustainable as well. That's some of the behind the scenes kind of engineering of a program that gives us some assurance of year after year being able to continue to offer that in the community.
Thanks, Joe. As we wrap up, I have a couple of polls to toss your way. These polls, I will not be sharing results. I just want to be clear about that. And the first is to offer you the opportunity to indicate to us that you have an interest in learning more either about Ascend, about pillars, or nope, I'm good. So if you want to take a second, this poll will not be anonymous, but not everyone's going to see how you respond. Only we will. So if you have anything that you want us to follow up with you on, indicate that here. And I'm just going to give this a second to settle out. I know you may not respond. That's okay. But it looks like we've got answers in, and I am going to end that poll. And then one more, if you wouldn't mind just letting us know how today's conversations over coffee compared to your expectations. And while you answer that, I am going to talk just a bit about what you're seeing in the background. If you want to keep learning more about pillars, please follow us on our social media. You can do that on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. The images to the right are two of our recent-ish Facebook posts. We're posting all the time, so please follow us on Facebook in particular, and join our circle of Facebook friends. You'll see at the bottom of the screen that there is another opportunity coming up on June 3rd for Conversations Over Coffee. We haven't identified the topic yet. If you want to let me know what topic you're interested in, toss it my way. I'd be happy to hear. And you can register registration for that event isn't available quite yet, but it will be soon. And you can join us again on June 3rd and every even month of the year, generally the first Thursday, except for the second Thursday in April. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. And boy, we are 30 seconds over. Did I miss anything, team pillars? Any last words other than thank you to Alona, to Rachel for the really informative presentation this morning?
How will this video be available, Lisa?
Good question. We will post this on our website. And actually, we will probably email y'all afterward to let you know where to find it, so that if you know someone who would be interested in it as much as you were, you can pass it along. Anything else?
One question in there from Julie. What do we do for folks who just seem to continually fall through the cracks? Is there a program or anything that we can do to help those individuals?
Julie, if you're still here, is that question specific to Ascend, or is that more broad about falling through the cracks regarding housing generally? Feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like, and if you don't care to, the chat works well too. And for those of you who've got another place to be, thank you for coming. Feel free to go about your day. Anything else from Julie? I think what I would say to that is it pains us when folks fall through the cracks too. So we work to find the shelter support and solutions. We really work to find a solution. And if that solution isn't here at Pillars, we look for it elsewhere in the community, or we innovate to create it. I'd say that's, Joe, anything to add about that?
It's a great question, and one that is a hard one to answer for us, for everybody. The only answer I have is we keep trying, and we could tell you stories about people who we have known for 5 years who struggled with alcohol addiction, and in 4.5 years, 4 3/4 years into that, we thought we're never going to see a change, and then something changed, and we just had one of those in the last couple of months. Is somebody who it was their time to change, and when they went through treatment for the umpteenth time and came to us because they had no other place to be, somehow it clicked. I mean, that's about them, not us providing a place. So they came into shelter, they stayed sober, they got a job, they started working 20+ hours a week, saved up money, and moving into an apartment that is not even a subsidized apartment to maintain their sobriety. And So you never know. So I guess the answer is we don't give up and we continue to provide support, knowing that yesterday might not have been today, but today might be. So we're there to give it another try.
Great. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. It's really, really wonderful to see you all, or at least to hear you or know you're out there. So have a great Thursday, and we'll see y'all again soon.
Thank you, everyone.